My name is Sidney Winston. Today is January the 25th, 2022. My name is Sidney Winston. 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, North America, Vancouver. I'd like to wish everybody a warm welcome to the show. And we are going to continue on a theme that I started within the last couple of days, and that is specifically, generally, which I do anyway, is I'm a crushing Christianity kind of a guy, you know. And what I've been doing the last couple of episodes is focusing on a Christian who holds pretty much the same ideas as Darth Dawkins, but presents himself as a very nice, amiable person, because that's what he is. However, he argues the same message as Darth Dawkins, but he actually allows back and forth discussion. What I'm going to do today is react to one of these retro Google Plus Hangouts that Nate used to hold, knowing now for sure, but knowing then even that Nate was the answer to everything is Jesus, and there's no talking about historicity. There's no talking about anything to do with origins of the scriptures or anything that. But he maintains that the Bible as a whole, he reads, from front to back, starting at the beginning, ending at the end. He maintains that it puts the whole story of Jesus together. Doesn't explain how exactly, but he just claims that that's what it does. So that's what we're going to do today. But first, I want to have some fun, have a good laugh, and take you to a very, very brilliant movie review that I found lurking on the internet. I'm actually very proud of myself for having found it. I'm sure it's a first. Nobody would have ever seen this before. So let me introduce, and let me, how we can do this. I'll do it this way. Yes, let's do it this way. And let's get it going.
You can't let people ruin a film.
No.
I mean, it's true enough that you can't let them ruin a rare film. You know, print comes from Europe, and you go to see it, and somebody is talking or eating, making noise. I mean, to me, it's not a moral question in the sense that those people don't actually have a right to do that. I think they do have a right to do it. They have a right to ruin the film for other people. I think everybody has the right to do whatever they want. But what that vision of the world, that kind of Hobbesian vision of the world, what that indicates then is that also means you have the right to stop people. So there's this ridiculous woman. She came in late, of course. She started making noise. She was eating, I think. She changed her seat and she sat right in front of me. And I was so annoyed that she was sitting in front of me that I started to kick her chair. And I was hoping that by kicking her chair I would get her to move. And she turned to me and she said, stop kicking the chair. And I said, well, next time, why don't you get here on time? And so she she said, "What does that have to do with anything?" But she didn't wait to hear an answer. She just sort of went back to watching the movie. But I went back to continuing to kick her chair. And then she got up, and now she was actually stood up and was really obstructing my view, you know. So I knocked her down. And unfortunately, she seemed to hurt herself really badly. I mean, I wasn't intending to hurt her really badly. I mean, I did knock her down with a certain amount of force, and I knew I was angry and that she sounded like she was in terrible pain. And I actually felt bad, I was like very angry that she was ruining my experience of the film, but I thought, she doesn't really deserve to be wailing in pain like that. But of course, her pain was not enough for me to get up and do anything about it. I wasn't going to get up and apologize. I wasn't going to help carry her out into the lobby, because then I would be missing the film, And really, it is true that, if somebody were having a heart attack, or, it's a strange thing to admit, but really, it would be very hard for me to, to feel any sense of moral compunction, about, what to do for another human being, who was in trouble during the movie, if it meant missing the film in order to help them, so I just let her lie there. And in fact, I realized then that I was in danger because, somebody started saying they should call the police, and I knew that the police were going to come, or that it was likely that they would come. And really, at that point, if I had, if I were not a true cinephile, I would have left the theater and escaped, so there would have been no witness that could have proven it was me or whatever, But instead, I waited until the end of the film, and of course, the police were there to arrest me immediately after, and that's what happened, What's great is that I'm probably the only person who handed in photos that made me look like a serial killer, for my little New York Film Festival passes, like that. That looks like a serial killer, right?
Yep. Hell yeah.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's probably from the early 90s, I would think.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it goes. So there you go. It's a little bit of humor to start the proceedings. Algorithm. Hey, man. How you doing, man? Guess what? Guess what? I got you on the screen. Okay, so basically the hangout room is open. I'm the only one in there, and so am I. The two of us are the only ones in there right now, just me and that guy Sidney Winston. But the aim of the game right now is not really to start the hangout, because I want to present Nate Cunningham's Ask a Christian point of view on, he calls it I'm not sure. The reason, it was the name that caught me there. He says Sodomite Suppression Act is what he calls his show. Why does he do that? Well, I don't know. But we are about to find out, okay? So hold on to your hats. Take your seats, strap in your seatbelts. Let's go and find out what this Christianity is trying to tell us about anything.
Happy Tuesday! Welcome, another religious discussion. I'm Nate Cunningham. So much fun stuff today. First of all, if you're watching and you want to comment or join part of the panel, go to natecunningham.org/guest, and the link is there, and like 1,000 other places. Quickly, I wanted to mention, if you're familiar with UNICEF and their water tap project, it seems like every year or every few months or however it works, that you can use your mobile phone, and they have, I think it's Armani or someone like that is sponsoring it. So for every, you go to tap.unicefusa.org on a mobile device. I'm not sure if tablets work or not this year, but anyways, you just go there and click start, and for every, I think it's every.
Hello, Bulldog. Nate Cunningham is a below average IQ. This is true, probably true, but he does have a above average above average calmness about him. That, for example, someone like Darth Dawkins totally lacks. So, Nate.
Every 15 minutes, you leave your phone idle. There's a counter that ticks, and it provides basically one free day of.
Hey, by the way, Algorithm and Bulldog, you're both from Australia. It's 8 o'clock in the evening my time, and I have Australians here. Thank you for joining us. I hope it's a good time for everybody in Australia. Tell your friends, share this video, subscribe, like, do all sorts of nice things.
Drinking water for one kid, and that's what 15 minutes of not touching your cell phone can equate to. So anyways, especially while we're here in a hangout and no one's using their phones probably, seems like a good time to do some good, right? So pedal the metal, money where the mouth is. I can't think of enough clever expressions, but anyway, you get the idea. And if you're watching from outside the USA, then just Google tap UNICEF, and it'll find whatever you need for your country if it's available there. With that in mind,
good man.
Yeah, I guess let me screen share to start this off. So I don't want to believe it, but apparently it is true, and it is, I don't know, disgusting, sad,
it's a holiday.
Horrible, I don't know.
Sorry, hey Nate. Sorry. It's a holiday in Australia today. Oh well, I tell you what I want to do. I want to say congratulations to Australia for making it through another year. May your queen live to be 120 years old. I think she's been alive for pretty much half the time Australia's actually been a country, and I think that's wonderful. The Australian nature must be wonderful for longevity for your queen to last as long as she has, 95 or something like that. That's incredible. Australian outdoors must be the thing, you know. Every day you wake up and you breathe and the outdoors and the freshness, and you make sure you're not you make sure there's not a bullfrog in your boot before you get dressed. That's Australia. David Albert, welcome, sir. Is David Albert Bill Pazdu? Nah. Say it isn't so. Hey, we were onto something here. Let's carry on.
So disregard that I'm getting this from the Huffington Post. I've checked some other sources, and it seems they all seem to be saying basically the same thing. So there's some genius lawyer in California who, this is real, people. He proposes killing gays with the Sodomite Suppression Act. So if you just want, I have posted the link in the YouTube description, so you can go read about it on your own. But a quick overview, basically it gives a little blurb here, and it says this lawyer has proposed this thing, and then it actually has a copy of the act here. So, Sodomite Suppression Act. I just want to quickly go through this, and then we may go through it more later, but I really want to get to it and see what people have to comment on. I'm sure
that explains the title of his show that I mentioned earlier, the Sodomite Suppression Act.
It's going to be pretty unanimous. So let's just start with this top part. The abominable crime against nature, known as buggery, also called sodomy, is a monstrous evil that Almighty God, giver of freedom and liberty, commands us to suppress on pain or of our utter destruction, even as he overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah.
Have you noticed, though, before I let this carry on, that one of the main Christian focus points. Okay, well, let's be blunt about this. The only focus point of Christianity is homosexuality. That's all they care about. That's all they focus on. That's all they make excuses about. That's it. And I don't understand why that is. It's a phenomenon that, I don't know, am I the only person that seems to notice it? But it's ridiculous. To pay it any heed is pretty much enabling them. So as we pay heed, let's carry on.
So I'm not going to read all this too quickly, just one more segment here. So seeing it's better that offenders should die rather than all of us are killed by God's wrath against us for the folly of tolerating wickedness in our midst, the people of California
Yeah,
wisely
Bulldog,
command
I
in the fear
agree.
of God
He's
that any
faking
person
it.
who willingly touches another person of the same gender for purposes of sexual gratification be put to death by bullets to the head. Wait. Or by any other convenient method. Freaking really? Okay, let's skip this for a minute and go down here. So when we get to point D, no person shall serve in public office, nor serve in public employment, nor enjoy public benefit, who is a sodomite, or who espouses sodomistic propaganda, or who belongs to any group that does. How are they going to be running in public office in point B when you want to kill them in the head with bullets? So if you kill them in point B, no one's going to be around to run for public office or apply for benefits in point D. I guess that's...
You see how he totally rejects the human life part of it. It's just you can't kill them because of point B and C and D. It's a kind of a mathematical thing. It's like a number crunching thing. You know, you can't kill them. It's just a them. They're them, non-humans. It's just them. It's rats. It's cockroaches. It's a trap of oysters. That's all it is. Or trap of lobsters. It's just that's it. Fodder. That's the way they approach everything. The Christian perspective. It's horrible.
That's where we'll start it, and then you can go read the rest for yourself. Anyway,
Yeah, all right.
So Roy, I don't want to get the wrong message out here, but my camera's not working.
Okay.
That's nice.
Okay, hold on a second. For Bulldog's information, Roy Montero and Nate Cunningham both co-host this show. I think I'm not sure who's like lead, but Nate Cunningham seems to have more of the voice time, but Roy Montero seems to be the kind of he makes sure that you keep the law, you keep the Christian message straight. You know, you don't stray. It's actually quite an interesting interaction between them.
Anyway, I mean, I don't want to get the wrong message out. I guess I want to get the right message out, which may be entirely subjective.
No, wrong, Bulldog. Roy is remarried and he does not live in California anymore. He moved out of California when he remarried. So, you're behind on the news, my friend.
But did that have the same reaction as you? I mean, I know you're a Christian and we have very, very similar beliefs. And, you know, when it boils down, basically we believe that, you know, the act of homosexuality is somehow sinful or it's not God's ideal best for you. This says nothing about if you can choose to be gay, if you cannot, if you can...
It's not God's ideal for you, but you get stoned to death if you do it. Not ideal, okay? Just don't do it. It's because it's not ideal. But if you do it, you're gonna get rocks thrown at your head so fucking quickly that your brain will implode.
Choose to have sex versus not. We're not even getting far yet. I'm just saying to reduce you and my beliefs down as simple as we can. I think that's where we stand. Like, we feel personally that our consciousness think that you know, the act of homosexuality is somehow not what God ultimately wants for you. If you don't feel like you have a choice or something else, we can talk about that. But that's where we come down on it.
Why is it your business? Why is it your business, Nate? What people's sexuality is? You never ever talk about yours, whatever it is. Why should anybody else talk about theirs? What is it with you fucking Christians? I want you to stop. Get your fucking head, your eyes, your nose, your focus out of the groin area of us males. We don't like it. We feel it's offensive. We feel violated. How dare you? How dare you?
And then how to treat people who do these things or anything else that we feel is not God's ideal best for you. then we treat them just like anyone else who we love near and dear to our hearts. So the fact that they're doing something that we feel is not in their best interest, that has nothing to do with making us treat them negatively or bad. So the fact that, I think most Christians and traditional Christianity will say, well, homosexuality, the Bible certainly, it seems to make it very clear that it is somehow sinful or not what God, really desires for us as his creation, if you believe that. But then it goes on to say, regardless of if you think they're doing something right or wrong, you treat them just like anyone else who you love the most in life. That's the goal. That's the bar. So certainly, if you're worried about their eternal soul, tell them. If they don't believe in a God, especially, who cares? Do what you want. There's no reason to tell people that being gay is somehow bad or going to make them burn in hellfire forever if they don't believe in a God in the beginning. If they don't believe in a God, for Christianity, I think that is their main problem. If they ever come to a belief in a God and then they want to know what you believe further than that, well, then tell them what you think is right and what you think is wrong, and let them compare that to their own conscience.
This is such fucking bullshit. This is putting your nose where it doesn't belong, Nate Cunningham. It's none of your fucking business what people do in their bedrooms. I don't know what's driving your curiosity to find out what people do in their bedrooms. But it's almost like an excuse that you're making for you. It's bad to watch pornography, but if you're watching out for homosexuality and you catch it, well, you're doing a good thing, even though you're watching homosexual pornography. You Christians are creepy, man, creepy fucks.
And have a conversation with them and God, and decide if what you're saying is crap or is has some substance to it.
Hello, God equals the square root of -1. Welcome to the channel.
Anyway, I could probably ramble on about this for a lot longer, but Roy, why don't you go ahead and give me your thoughts? Do you kind of echo what I said, or are you completely for killing gay people in the head with bullets or by any other convenient method, or do you want to say something loud and proud of your own?
Okay, now Roy is a very, very ardent Christian. He's a by the book Christian, so it's going to be interesting.
About that.
Well, Nate, I don't care if it's the United States. I don't care if it's the entire world. My best guess is that half the population anywhere is single. Yeah, and if not half, then maybe 40%. So how many of those single people have committed either fornication and or adultery, depending upon your definition? And yeah, I'm going to go back to my one-liner. So just because someone sins differently than me doesn't mean they have to be put to death. So
okay. So if somebody sins differently than you, they don't have to be put to death. Okay, their sin is laid out in the Bible, in that what they do in their homosexual sex life is a sin, and they have to be put to death. That's what it says there. What is your sin, Roy? What is your sin that is different to their sin? And well, because you don't have to get stoned to death for your sin, it's just a different sin than the homosexual sin. You understand the logic, the lack of logic of your position? Christians, Protestants, Catholics, Roy, Nate?
The fact that this even made Huffington Post, made the news, and people are reading it and talking about it, I guess talking about it is a great thing. Whether it's ever going to make it to the ballot or whether it's ever going to pass, yeah, slim chance of that happening. I mean, come on, seriously? This guy, I mean, what's his ulterior motive, his underlying motive, his foundation? I mean, come on, he doesn't really think that this is actually going to pass.
Well, I agree with you that, yeah, I don't think there's a chance on earth of it passing, fortunately, but still, it's just the thought that's getting me kind of hot and bothered. So, I mean, yeah, what is this guy's problem, like, with gay people specifically? Like,
did you catch that? The thought of homosexuality is getting Nate Cunningham hot and bothered. Freudian slip, Nate? I don't think so. I think I just think I'm just kidding. I'm not faulting you for that. I'm just joking.
Like, is he totally cool with politicians and welfare recipients who are knee deep in hookers and blow? I mean, is God okay with that? So, you know, it seems like, you know, just looking at what he says here, it seems like he clearly injects a lot of his own opinion in what he thinks is some objective thing from God. So it was either in a quote or the top line here.
You notice how they absolutely presuppose this God exists, and then because they presuppose this God exists and this God has certain attributes and certain rules and certain laws and certain this and certain that, they think that because of that, this article is worth reading out loud and making a big huge deal about, even though their book says to do exactly what this fucking article is saying to do to the gays. Kill them, stone them, beat them to death, do whatever. That's what their book says. That's what Roy Montero's book and Nate Cunningham's book say. And now they're laughing at their own book, it seems. I mean, if they are, and this is a satire, then you know, you got me. You got me for sure.
This is good. I'm going to find it. Here we go. So, assuming this is true, seeing that it is better for that offenders should die rather than that all of us.
Oh, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. We might need you to do an All Gods Are Imaginary later on. Well, anytime really.
Us should be killed by God's just wrath. That's his first opinion. I would love to know how he thinks that's objective if he does, because there's no.
Good point, God. Remember Ted Haggard? Hookers and blow. No, it wasn't hookers and blow. It was meth and male hookers. He had that mega church going where he preached exactly what Nate Cunningham's Bible preaches: stone the gays to death. And he was busted buying meth and visiting or having a relationship, a sexual affair with a man. Busted, always say.
Reason to think that. There is no reason to think that God is behind every natural disaster.
Right, because God doesn't exist. There's no reason to think that God is behind every natural disaster. If your God exists, then your God is behind every natural fucking disaster.
And God is somehow judging America.
And judging America. And not stopping the Holocaust. And all sorts of... God doesn't exist type of actions that your God displayed. Always. And still does display to this day. Pretends he doesn't exist. It's going to fool everybody. Won't fool you, of course, Nate, because you know something, of course. That's why you're Nate, because you have an innate knowledge of Jesus. Because Jesus is the only answer to every question. Remember that. You said it yourself.
I mean, I think at a certain point that's totally going to happen. I don't think it's any time in the near future. Certainly not because we allow things like this to happen. I don't think that's true, and I think he'd be hard pressed to make that case using the Bible or something that Christians usually follow. And then he says against us for the folly of tolerating wickedness. So if it's a folly, it's an error. So is God going to rain hellfire and brimstone down because we make a mistake, per this guy's opinion, of tolerating wickedness? It doesn't say that you're supposed to be intolerant of wickedness. It says you're not supposed to take part in it. You're not supposed to do the stuff that God says stay away from. It's for your own good. But for those who do, even Paul in 1 Corinthians says, look, guys, I'm not talking to you to ignore and stay away and exclude people of the world, people who don't profess Christ, whenever they do this stuff, this lawlessness or sinfulness or wickedness or, whatever it is, gambling, anyways, whatever.
Gambling? So Sweeney's gambling in the Bible a stonable sin. I mean, there's just no fun in the Bible. It's a horrible book. Nate, you're following a very horrible book. No, you're not allowed to have any fun whatsoever, Nate, according to the creed and doctrine and dogma of your cult. It's horrible. You are not a happy man. You're just pretending to be a happy man. See, I'm a happy man. I'm just pretending to be a grumpy old man. You see the difference?
But Paul even says, I was only talking to the specific people who claim to be a Christian who do this stuff. He's like, don't even associate with such people because, well, they're hypocritical. But he's like, no, for the people in the world that do this stuff, you would have to leave the planet to get away from them. So that seems to be directly contradictory to what this guy's idea says. Okay, let's open it up. Let someone else talk. I could just not stop.
All right.
Roy, final thought before other people jump in.
Go for it, Roy.
Yeah, no, I think you summed it all up. I don't have nothing to add to that other than, really? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, so it definitely makes for a good conversation. And, yeah, I'd love to hear from...
You see, Roy seems to have nothing to add whatsoever. Yeah, you said it all there, Nate. Yep, I got nothing to add because really there's none of it is true. So I'm not going to go I can't make up anything else and throw it in there because I'll be busted. So, yeah. So, Nate, carry on.
From our panel. Star, Gary, you guys got some thoughts on this wicked possible law? Now, Nate, is that just for California, or is that is this just a state law?
Yeah, I think it's just for California.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's to laugh, right, guys?
I'm glad he's a Christian and not an atheist. Okay. Really, Christians don't. I'll be the first atheist to admit, not all Christians are that's crazy. You guys, thanks to the 24-hour news cycle.
That's Gary Wishon. Gary, that's crazy talk. Yes, all Christians are that crazy. Because they all believe in the same book. And it's a crazy book with crazy shit in it. And they all believe it. So when they sort of condescend to one another over somebody else's interpretation of the same book, what they're doing is just trying to weaken, or should I say, they're trying to strengthen their own position of reasonableness, of being a reasonable Christian, of being a reasonable and rational follower of the Jesus Club or member of the Jesus Club. It's all smoke and mirrors, ladies and gentlemen, all smoke and mirrors.
This will always pop up. And the internet, this will never go 100% away because a fringe lunatic is like a cockroach in your house. You get rid of one, and you think, oh, the cockroaches are gone. No, where there's one, there's 1,000 that's waiting to pop up later. So I'm just happy this is just not something that atheists have to deal with.
Well, and as you know, and as soon as I say this, you know, things like, look, Jesus says, talking about turning the other cheek and, you know, repay good for people that do evil things. I mean, maybe it's not a direct parallel to this, but I think there's some wisdom that can be derived from it. But, you know, whenever Jesus says the greatest thing you can do, the greatest commandment is love God and love your neighbor as yourself, and then you keep reading a little bit farther and you get to 1 Corinthians, and it says, well, let me share it. If you've been to a wedding, you've heard it. Gary, can you mute? We're getting feedback from you. But here, it says, 1 Corinthians, if you've been to a wedding, you've heard this, 13. What is love? and it goes, it prefaces, says, well, what is love? And then it says, this is love. Love never gives up. Love cares more for others than for itself. Love doesn't want what it doesn't have. It doesn't strut. Doesn't have a swelled head. Doesn't force itself on others. Isn't always me first. Doesn't fly off the handle. Doesn't keep score of the sins of others. Doesn't revel when others grovel. Doesn't take pleasure in the flowering of truth. Puts up with anything. Trusts God always. Always looks for the best. Never looks back, but keeps going to the end. So tell me, I mean, I could count like three points that directly go against like harming or murdering by bullets in the head in this. I don't see anything that says love must kill gay people in the head with bullets or by any other convenient method. Anyway, so I think that would be my quick case.
Well, hold on a second. That's because he's reading a fucking article, right? Read your Bible, Nate, and you will see where it says that the stoning of the homosexuals must commence immediately. Them catching, being caught. So why are they even going out and looking for this shit anyway? Why don't they just mind their own fucking business and get on with their day? Fuck, you people annoy me. Annoy me.
For love people, even people that do what you think is wrong. Love them anyway. That's between them and the God that you believe in. And if they don't believe in a God, then that's even more reason for you to not cram the stuff down their throat. Tell them, Jesus says clearly, right, when he sends disciples, like,
don't tell them Jesus says anything. That's what pisses us off. Because Jesus is a myth. Myth. Jesus is a myth.
He says, go tell people the good news, which, by the way, if
Jesus is a myth.
if the gospel you're preaching is not good news, it's not the gospel. So, you know, I don't know if this guy wants to make a sermon out of shooting gay people in the head, but I would say that, you know, even if he wears the name Christian or the badge Christian, yeah, what was it, Sodomite Suppression Act? That seems like complete contradictory to everything you see Jesus doing in the New Testament. One more thing is, as sure as I say this, there will be some.
I recall Jesus in the New Testament going fucking into the temple and going fucking berserk, overturning tables, causing chaos, having merchandise and money just flying everywhere because he goes into this crazy rage. Jesus Christ. Be like Jesus Christ, everybody. Go into a crazy fucking rage. Just like Jesus did. And then afterwards, when you calm down, you'll get quietly crucified.
Wonderful atheist out there who's like, how do you know your view of God is right and your interpretation's right? Why can't that guy's interpretation be right? First of all, in the sense of accuracy, if that's why you're pointing that out, good point. Thank you. For any other reason, shut up. I'm trying to get people to see that Christianity does not promote shooting gay people in the head by bullets or any other convenient method. And I think this is clear and apparent if you will just read it. So I think a lot of times the common misconception is that
that's a common trope with Nate Cunningham. You'll hear him saying a lot. Just read it. That's my T-shirt. If I ever get merch, it's going to be just read it. It's going to be the first one on there. Just read it.
That everyone that says they're a Christian actually reads this stuff. I think that's not true. I think it's sad and it's unfortunate. And, you know, I think that's at least why me and I think Roy and everyone else is trying to encourage people to educate themselves or read the Bible they say they believe in totally, fully, and true. So, yeah, I think that's it. Like, I think if this dude and other people with this view would just read the book, then I think they'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm so flawed. If people were doing what I think is sin, I should, I should be kind and gentle and respectful and loving and compassionate. I should not shoot them in the head with bullets or by any other convenient method. Whew, I got to take a break.
I must commend you for what you're doing today. I do appreciate this. Is one atheist appreciating this. I'm so happy to see a Christian not be crazy as hell for once.
John, how are you doing? Do you have anything to comment on? Did you hear what we're ranting about?
Yeah, hi, John.
And I'm kind of eating right now, and
Okay, take your
How
time.
I'm doing? I have bad headache.
Okay, well, this is surely not going to help.
Poor John. He's got a bad headache, and he's eating, and then he comes online onto Google Hangout. I don't get that either.
Well, you can't possibly be in favor of a law being passed here in California where anyone who is committing sodomy needs to be shot in the head with some bullets or any other convenient method. I think that's the way it read.
Yeah, that's messed up. And, one more thing. I'm not done yet. So, people that are like, well, you're trying to please people. You're a liberal Christian. I guess I'm asking you to take my word or fact check me, read the Bible I say I follow. But I really believe, I would put myself in a category of like the most like strict, fundamental, literal Bible-believing Christian you can find, with a caveat. I'm not talking fundamental in the way most people view fundamentals, like bat crap crazy.
Then why use the word? Why call yourself fundamental at all? If it can be construed, or it can be, it can be taken ambiguously, then you've still called yourself a fundamentalist. But I'm not that kind of fundamentalist. That's not. Then find another word for what you are, man, Nate. Don't be silly. We're not stupid. You know that, right? We're not stupid. Well, maybe you'll figure it out. Because we're on to you in Clubhouse. We know you're there, lurking with Darth Dawkins to sow the seeds of presuppositionalism. Danger!
Crazy and everything but fundamentals. Like, somehow fundamentalists have earned the name fundamental by going extremely far on fringe issues, which is the opposite of fundamental. So, yeah, I really feel like this is the core fundamentals, like the building blocks of Christianity, which is love God and love people. Even the people that you think are doing something wrong, that's between them and God. Your job is to love them. That's it. So I would definitely fight against anyone that's like, you're a liberal Christian, you want the world to be gay. Absolutely not what I'm saying. Anyway. Yeah, Star.
I would hope that on that same token, if you're a politician and there was a bill about legalizing homosexual marriage, that you'd vote for it.
Yeah, I would either vote for it or not at all, because again, consistent with what I actually believe, my own character and personality, as well as my theistic beliefs. I don't even care what you call it. Call it marriage. Like, who cares if God designed, marriage between man and woman? By the time we get marriage in the political arena, it's already crap. Like, I really think marriage at its core is ordained by God, and it requires two people and a God. I don't think you need a dude in a funny hat. I don't think you need a public servant of the court. I really think marriage is a commitment between two people, man and a woman, let's say, for a biblical definition, and a commitment they make between each other and God. That's it. So by the time it gets to political agenda, and would you support gay marriage? Sure. Because all...
Okay, well, that's pretty harmless, and that's pretty reasonable, Nate, logical and everything. But, and you're using pretty good critical thinking on that. But why can't you apply that kind of critical thinking to Jesus? Because Jesus is a myth, mythical Jesus. The Gospels are, at best, ancient literature. Why can't you put your critical thinking hat on about that? We need to talk, and you're welcome to join at any time.
All I see that is I would be voting for gay people to have the same rights, nothing to do with marriage at this point. It's just the benefits and perks our government gives to people who are married or in a civil union. So insurance, visitations, death rights, things like that. So yeah, I don't feel like if I did vote for gay marriage being legal, I don't think I'd be voting for anything conflicting with my conscience. Because if people are going to do the act of homosexuality or be a sodomite, as this dude thinks, McLaughlin or whatever his name is, then me voting to pro or con them getting married, that makes no difference anyway. They're already doing the stuff that Christians consider sinful. So yeah, when it gets to the marriage issue, who cares? It's just
Why don't you just fucking say, on behalf of Christianity, I declare that it's none of my business what anybody else does in their bedroom, and you should not worry about what anybody else says. I, Nate Cunningham, say it's none of anybody's business, and that's the last word according to the Bible. Let's move on.
just giving them the same like insurance and medical rights as everyone else. My humble opinion.
I think a lot of politicians are embracing this religious extremism, so they don't really have to do anything. They just have to feed red meat to the Pharaoh-minded religious people in their communities, like Jim Imhoff in Oklahoma, in Mississippi, Michigan, the freedom of religion bills. That's just them having something to point to, and anything else they can say, well, God didn't want us to do it, or God willing, we will do it. It's a cop-out. It's a dodge. It's them just having to playing to the lowest common denominator to try to look like they're doing something when they're not. Jim Imhoff alone, he is so far into the pocket of big oil. Him being on the climate committee is a joke.
Oh God.
Who are they talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the guy reads the Bible as proof against climate change.
Yeah, fun fact.
He throws a snowball and says, "See, snow."
Yeah, there was a meeting for the Committee on Space Science and Technology, and you'd be surprised the amount of times that they bring up the Bible when talking about issues.
Oh, Roy?
Roy?
Yeah, I would like to hear Roy's opinion.
Yeah, something you brought up, Nate, and I was thinking, so if it becomes law, talking about homosexual marriage, this is just a thought that came into my head. Do you think that some Christians who may be struggling and wrestling with said sin now realize, oh, it's okay, it's legal, just like booze or pot? It's like I gotta obey the law of the land. My question to everyone is, do you think it would sway those who are struggling with this to say, it's legal, okay, I'm in, rather than was it legal?
No.
Freeze them from.
Here's the
I'm sorry,
thing.
go ahead.
There are several things with human
That's
beings.
funny.
By the way, I just want to say, I'm an atheist, and I have nothing against gay people. I don't think the argument we should be having is whether or not to legalize gay marriage. The argument should be having, does our government really have a right?
Okay, this is Chaz. Chazwell. I think his name was Chazwell Almighty or something like that. He was a pretty cool dude. Haven't seen him around for a long time.
Right to enforce any ideas of marriage or anyone's particular ideas of what constitutes marriage? Is this stuff that really our government should be concerned about, or is this kind of like more of the authoritarian, oppressive regimes that we get in place that try and hold us up to live up to their ideals? And I think that's more of the permanent thing. But what you were saying there, Roy, people aren't just going to go, well, bumming's legal, I guess I'm gay now. It's not about a choice thing. There's lots of stuff in your genetics and your fetal development which actually affect whether or not you're going to be homosexual. It's not just a case of people choose that lifestyle. And with things like marijuana and alcohol, alcohol became a hell of a lot more popular during the Prohibition because when it became a taboo, it made it more exciting. It gave an extra release of dopamine. But you know, making things illegal makes them makes you pay attention to them more. That's a naughty thing to do, and we as human beings naturally like sometimes breaking the rules in one way or another. But you know, it's not that the second something becomes legal, everybody becomes an alcoholic or a dope fiend. These people would still be alcoholics and dope fiends, whether it's legal or not. There will still be gay people, whether bumming is legal or not, whether gay marriage is legal or not.
Did you say
Yeah, I
bumming?
don't think Roy meant
I would,
that.
yeah, I would agree with Chaz here. Just because you make something legal doesn't mean people are going to go out now and go do it. I mean, you have, listen, junk food is legal, but you have people who, by choice, choose to eat healthy. So it's a lifestyle choice. Just because something's legal, I don't think people are going to do it.
Yeah, I don't think
Actually,
Roy
you know
meant
what
that.
makes junk food popular? It's loaded with sugar and it's loaded with salt, which makes it taste really good, which helps towards it being slightly addictive. It's also generally made from lots of very cheap food, like carbs, things like buns and potatoes, that help keep the cost down. So it's very, very cheap food
Well,
to get out.
that's a good idea, Chaz. I think you've solved it. So if we inject enough gay people with sugary sweets to make them taste good, then people will like them. But I don't think Roy was saying that people are going to just choose to be gay all of a sudden. I think Roy's question was people who think this is, I assume, people that believe in a God that is not cool with homosexuality. I think that's where Roy's question was coming. Like people that somehow feel guilty or shameful for whatever reason. Will they stop fighting it if it becomes politically legal and be like, okay, now I can be who I am. There's not as much pressure. I don't have to worry about this anymore. So now I'm going to jump head in. Like they could have been gay the whole time, but now they feel somehow more at ease. I think
Well,
that's
they
his
might be a
question.
bit more
If a law
open about
changes a
it.
person's religious convictions, then it wasn't much of a religious conviction in the first place.
Huh?
I think, John, I think what Nate was saying was like, say I'm a Christian and a gay man, yeah, but I'm very closeted in my homosexuality. That by the law becoming legal, would I, you know, throw my hands up in the air and just, you know, go cooey, I'm out? I think.
Yeah, and by the way, we weren't actually talking about gay marriage, but let me post that article there so Chaz, you can catch up. That's the article on the side that we were talking about. So read that real quick and let me know if you have anything to say about it. But Roy, are you back at your desk? You've been quiet for a little bit.
I am, and yeah, you nailed it, Nate. That's exactly what I was saying, and John nailed it too when he said what he said. So you know, it was just a thought.
Nobody wakes up one
If I
day
can-
and just says, I'm going to have sex with men now.
And we've established that's not the question.
Well, it's a little different than you know, alcohol or pot, as we see the government has seen fit to legalize it after it was illegal for some time. So not in like manner. I mean, I'm not comparing, you know, the act of homosexuality with the act of getting drunk or getting high. But it was a thought I got.
Hello, Rebel. Haven't seen you for a while. Welcome back.
Because of what Nate was saying. So I just had the thought I'd put it out on the table. Me personally, what do I think? I think even if one person says, "Oh, it's legal," well, all right, conscience, there we go. I think that might be for that person, you know, the wrong move. So if even one person who says, you know, a percentage of them, and where do you cut it off? If it infects one person to make that decision, affects that one person to make that decision, that's all I was putting on the table. So I'm not saying the majority, because the majority won't. You guys are right. But do you think just one person might go, "Oh, it's legal now"?
Yeah,
I feel like there.
I think there's one crazy individual out there who would do that. Like there's one crazy guy who owns a gun who goes and shoots a bunch of school kids. There's one crazy guy who smokes pot and then beats his wife. There is one crazy guy.
I think there's more than.
It's all the same guy too.
There's one crazy guy who smokes pot and beats his wife. I've never heard of this crazy guy. I've heard of many crazy guys, you know, drinking a bottle or taking a few shots of schnapps and then beating up their wives or their husbands. But I've never ever heard of anyone getting high and smoking marijuana and then going to beat up their wife. Come on. Bullshit. Whoever said that? Bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. I wanted to,
Bastard.
Skyler! I just got to say it. Oh my goodness, welcome. I can't text this. I got to yell this. Skyler!
yeah, I'm trying to say it too. So Skylar,
Who remembers Skylar Fiction? Here he comes.
go ahead and look at the article. That's what we're talking about on the side there.
All right.
And let us know as soon as you have a comment. We've been ranting.
Welcome,
But-
brother. Oh my goodness, so good to see you and
Well,
hear you.
hang on one thing. So
Wow, I'm so
I
jealous.
don't think there's just one person though that would be doing this. I think there's a significant number of people that would. Let's just look at a different religion for a minute, even in Judaism, right? Like we know Gav, and he seemed very clear that in observant Judaism, following the laws of the land played a big deal in their religion on what you can and can't do per Judaism, because you're supposed to follow the laws of the land. So that was one thing when Gav said, well, look, if America were to, he's not in America anymore, but if America, primarily the reason he didn't smoke pot was because it was against the law of the land, and that created a problem in his faith, in his religion. But he said if America legalized pot, like tomorrow, then he could and probably would do it and be just fine in his religion because he's following the laws of the land. So I think that.
Oh, Bill, you asked what year is this convo from? Oh boy, it's got to be 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there years ago. Long time ago. But Nate's still around. He surfaced on Clubhouse in the Darth Dawkins on the Darth Dawkins side of the room. And it seems to me a little bit 2016 Rebel. Yeah, maybe before even. But 2016 sounds pretty plausible. Why not? I mean, it's still 5 years, 6 years ago. Holy crap! So it's pretty.
That's like, I know it's a different religion, but I think there's lots of people, like even this lawyer, like this McLaughlin dude, like he somehow took love and peace and turned it into kill gay people by bullets in the head or any other convenient method. And so I think there's a lot of people that would probably be on board with that.
The law of the land, though, isn't too
demanding you have gay sex.
Yeah, the law of the land isn't
I mean,
too.
that's the.
No,
I think that's the thing with some of these people. I do think that some people see their Christianity as the identity of themselves, and so when anything goes against Christianity in any way they can perceive it, it goes against them. And you get people like these Fox News politicians and stuff like that who will come out with this sort of stuff looking to play on people's things. It says right here in the Bibles, gay is an abomination, and look, they want to give all of these abominations these rights. Boo, it's against you. It's kind of vote wrangling that goes back many centuries, that still gets done today. It's the same sort of nonsense, trying to grip on people's fears and people's weaknesses in order to exploit them. It's no different to how con men work.
Well said.
If I could respond to the Roy thing, because I didn't kind of I let's say that whatever.
Rebel, Chaswald Almighty, if I'm not 100% mistaken, comes to mind. And remember, Rob Beasley used to call him Chaswald the Almighty. He always got everybody's names wrong.
A percentage of people end up saying, okay, I'm questioning, and then it becomes legal, and they say, okay, well, that's it. I'm gonna be okay with this, and come out and all that stuff. What percentage of people right now who live in states, or in the past, who are living in states where it was illegal,
that's right,
pushed them the other way, where their life was more depressing and miserable, for having their society essentially not accept them? And I would say if that percentage is larger, which I would beg to say it probably is, it would probably match your faith better to then have it legalized and not have these people essentially feeling hated and ostracized for it because of love thy neighbor.
You know, I think we're all on the same. I think we all are pretty unanimous in a lot of views regarding this topic. Skylar, have you got a chance to read that yet?
I did.
I don't see you vomiting in a trash can yet, so maybe you don't have the entire article, but.
Well, you know what? Whenever I see something like this, I mean, I instantly just think this is just some radical, crazy person. I mean, because any kind of, I mean, the death penalty in general is already kind of like a debated issue. Like, it's already kind of controversial for whatever crime, right? And then when you look at something for just being gay, it's like it takes it to a whole new level, right? It's just, I mean, it's insanity. Obviously, this is something that's never going to get passed. This will never be anything that's actually, especially was this California, like one of the most liberal states in the country.
From like Alabama or like East Texas. No offense, Alabama and East Texas.
North Carolina or South, whichever one's the nutty one.
North. It'd be North Carolina. North Carolina only abolished the eugenics laws in 1995. So it wouldn't have to be North.
Didn't they get rid of a student at one of their universities, one of these really sort of like Christian, like the scary kind, Christian schools? They suspended
the volleyball team, right?
Yeah, I think so, or something like that, because two of the members were gay and were bumming each other. You know, petty little shit like that just makes you say why.
Petty bumming.
I think it's funny at the bottom of this article. There's like a picture of Kirk Cameron. Gay celebrity statements, like a link to. Huffington Post is so crazy. They always have like the most like controversial kind of like tabloidish. I mean, I read it. I like Huffington Post. But
whereas Kirk Cameron looks like a bummer in that photograph. Let's just be honest. I actually thought when I went past that was a picture of a gay man, and I had to double check it after you said that.
I think he's kind of rocking a mullet too.
I once asked the homophobe, I said, if there was a politician...
Who's the homophobe?
Oh, boy.
A guy I used to work with. I asked if there was a politician that could offer up some kind of supposed evidence saying that being gay is a mental disorder, would you vote for him? He goes, well, yeah. And I said, if they were going to make it mandatory counseling and or hospitalization to fight against homosexuality, if you're gay, you're mentally disordered, and you have to be in a hospital, would you vote for that? He goes, yeah. I said, now you're faced with a real problem if that ever happens. Prove you're not gay. Ted Haggard was gay, was married for like 20 years, 5 kids, and he was gayer than a day in ladybug in the middle of July. I mean,
well, I guess, you know, actually, here's a good question. I don't think I've ever been a part of a conversation that went this way. But what constitutes gay? Is it the act of like a dude doing a dude one time, 3 times, consistently over a period of time? Like what does it actually take to cross the threshold from heterosexual to homosexual?
You have to have no sexual arousal from women, really. You have to be sexually aroused by men.
Are bisexuals mentioned in the Bible? That's a tricky one.
Good question.
I don't think they are. I think that you're straight or you're wrong, I think pretty much is the angle that the Bible swings it.
I would question how the Bible swings it, because I mean, when it does talk about, you know, a man shall not lie with man, it's talking, it's Moses addressing I want to say Hebrews or Israelites, so I forget the difference.
Maybe it was actually the sleeping arrangement.
It mentions like gossipers, and I mean, if you're gonna say, well, that's an abomination, I mean, everyone gossips too, so.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but have you looked at the Bible? There's very little you can actually do in there. I mean, literally everything can be considered wrong in some way.
Well, that's the whole point, right?
Exactly.
Like, the whole point is, yeah, like he just equated, you know, homosexuality in the same thing as gossip. Like, God seems to have a problem with both things. So if God has a problem with even gossiping, we're all surely screwed, right? That's the main point of the Bible. If you put your faith and hope in this Jesus character, then, yeah, all of the little things, including gossip or whatever else, if you're trusting and following Christ to make things cool, he will. That's the point. So I think, yeah, if you're not gay or not doing, I don't know, whatever else people make a storm about, and if all you're doing is gossiping, well, that's still, a problem for God. Clearly, we all do gossip, no matter how much we like to limit it or not. At some point or another, I think we've all done it and probably will continue to do it in the future. Hopefully, it's less and less as we go on in life. But yeah, that's the point, right? It doesn't matter like what little things you do that are wrong. If you believe and have faith and trust in this Christ to save you, that's what makes everything cool, including gossiping. So in that regard, I guess the point is, like it says, all things are permissible. So if you are a Christ follower, you believe in him, you can be in theory, you can be as gay as you want,
Hey,
you can be as
Henry.
gossipy
How you
as you
doing?
want, you
Welcome.
can burn down orphanages and do tax evasion if you want. And God would be, in theory, fine with all that because you're trusting Christ to save you. The caveat of that is if you're really following Christ and putting your faith and trust in him, you will not want to do these things. You won't want to cheat people. You won't want to lie to people. You'll want to do anyway. So that's kind of the idea. So yeah, I don't think it's limiting, other than what you choose to limit yourself. Just like we talked about junk food earlier. Like, you're free to eat all the junk food you want, but you choose not to because that stuff's disgusting, and you see it's going to corrode you and probably cause some big problems in the future. So we choose wisely not to embellish in a lot of junk food.
Smart. That's smart of us, huh?
I was going to say too, with like when you look at all these kind of laws, whenever anybody tries to pass an anti-gay law, it's just totally unenforceable in a sense. Like, all we're really doing is just catching people who are bad at hiding it and punishing them for it. So it's like, most laws, no, that's not true. I guess some laws are meant for just punishment, some are to deter crime, basically, right? But like, whether it be letting gays adopt, letting gays marry. I don't know if we're getting into all those kind of other areas here. But, I mean, basically when they pass those laws, like these weird sodomy laws, how are they going to catch somebody? I mean, they literally have to catch somebody in the act of sodomy in order to charge them with it, which is very scary, because then you have to have cops breaking in your door, monitoring your bedroom, basically.
Please no. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of where things get disjointed, right? Because people, like, especially, like Christians or people who identify as Christians that push these, like, anti-gay marriage laws forward, it's like, look, by the time you're fighting because you don't want them to be married, what does that have to do with your religious belief? The thing that you're complaining about for your religious belief is the act that they're doing gay stuff, and you have a problem with that. Well, they're doing that no matter what you vote for about their marriage. So if you have a problem with them doing gay stuff or whatever you want to call it, that's where your problem is, and your voting is not going to change that one way or another. So when it gets to should we let people marry and have the same rights as everyone else, then why not? I mean, at least theistically speaking, or per our own religion and the life of Christ, and this, these Christian beliefs, I don't see any conflicting things going on there.
And it breaks down that wall between Christians and those people. So if you guys want to minister to them, like, and you feel that, like, that's going to open it up. Like, if you just, like, don't let them have any rights and you treat them like second-class citizens, they're certainly not going to view Jesus Christ in any kind of positive way, or have any kind of positive view of Christians. Yeah.
Besides, what's the old joke? If you want people to stop having sex, let them get married.
Good point. Yeah, if you want, like, homosexuality to take a trip down the downward spiral like everyone else, then yeah, let them get married. They'll stop having sex, they'll divorce, and they'll be like everyone else.
Yeah,
I'm surprised
like
some of the
else, it becomes
churches, especially
straight.
like the Catholics, because they're usually quick on the old pound. I'm surprised they haven't already sort of started doing gay marriage, started bringing in the old pink pennies.
I think that's where I would distinguish on the other side. Like, it's completely subjective, but as far as politically and trying to force people not to do something versus, willfully, like, encouraging or promoting people to do something, especially if it's against your belief, I think that's where I distinguish it too. Like, maybe it would be a good political move for the Catholic Church. I mean, I'm not Catholic and don't really care what they do or don't do. Well, that's not true, but you know what I mean.
It would also
Provisionally,
be good
unless they
financially,
don't do
but
something
to be
really,
honest.
really bad.
He puts his
But yeah,
nose
I don't
to
think,
it. He cares
just
about
like
the
I don't want
Catholics.
people to be forced to be second-class citizens, I don't want people to be forced to, I wouldn't expect gay people to be forced to make a straight wedding cake if that was their only reason. They're like, no, we just do gay wedding cakes. We don't want to put a man and a woman figurine on the top. Well, they shouldn't be forced to, vice versa. but we've moved quite a ways from the political sector at that point.
Yeah,
That's
more.
interesting you brought up that point, Nathan. There was recently, I don't know if you saw, there was a woman who owned she was a baker, and one of her customers is gay, came in there quite often. No, she was a florist. My bad. She was a florist, but similar, but she had a gay customer come in, seemed like to be good friends, and he was a regular customer. But then he was getting married, and she refused because of her Christian convictions, refused to do their wedding. And
How can you be a florist and hate gay people? That's like wanting the best interior decorator, but just nowhere near any cock, please.
I forgot how
it's mad. I don't know if the same conversation about gay marriage is going on in America as it is here, because I remember asking a gay person when the gay marriage debate was flaring up here, because I had heard they had civil ceremonies, they could technically get married, but the thing that was different wasn't their access to governmental rights. The main thing had to do with the fact that Christian marriage is a contract with God, whereas civil ceremonies or government-led weddings are a contract with the government.
Absolutely right there, Chaz. Bulldog, the Bible hates gays. Nate is defending gay rights. So go figure. Go figure. He's bullshitting. Absolutely. Either that, or he's got to throw away the Bible, because absolutely the Bible condemns homosexuality 100%, and certainly gay rights. Nothing about the Bible is lenient towards everybody, especially not gay people. So I agree with you, Bulldog. You're quite right. If you guys have had enough of this, you can come into the room and we can chop this into 2 episodes. In about 15 minutes of this, it'll be about halfway through. So if you guys want to sort of start popping in for a chatteroony, now's the time. Well, not now's the time. Any time's the time. I'll just keep on plodding along.
And because of this, people, gays were forced to get these civil ceremonies, so they'd end up having to pay to get divorced, whereas people who get married in their religion can have the contract annulled by their religion.
Oh, cool. All right, Rebel, we'll see.
I'd be curious in about a few years what the percentage of gay divorce would be, as against heterosexual marriages, divorces.
Well, I can tell you now, male homosexual marriages will last better because, let's be honest, men always want sex and will always be willing to put out. Lesbian relationships, high rate of divorce, because you'll have 2 women on their period at the same time eventually.
How we've taken a turn.
This is a great time to bring a child on the camera.
He can't hear you guys. I have my earphones on. I've learned you don't put the audio.
This is 18 plus hangout.
Well, it wasn't.
I would bring up though that I mean, it does seem a little bit weird with the whole the amount of emphasis which goes on to how can you really love God and be gay. But I mean, no one really does that with divorced people. You don't
Subtly
really
from behind. I'm sorry, you said how can you love God and be gay, and I just had to.
Oh my god. I mean, it's not treated as the same as other sinful things. I mean, it's more looked down upon, I would say.
I don't know, if you want the most looked down upon things in our society, I think rapists and child murderers are probably everybody's most hated human being, yeah? People feel less empathy towards these people than they do, say, the homeless or the poor.
Pedophiles, pedophilia, that's like numero uno. Hey, I just want to say hey to Robert. Robert's fairly new. He got invited by somebody who's been frequenting with us. Robert, if you got Mike, you want to just say hey, I'm from so-and-so city or town or whatever, wherever. I'm from California. I'm Roy. I'm The producer here, quote, air quotes, what the heck ever that means. I talk every now and
He's
then.
always selling himself.
Nate is the host here, and we do this twice a week, so welcome. And yeah, feel free to jump right on in. If you got something to say or add, please do so. Tom, welcome.
So Roy is in the.
I don't know you. You're new too, so jump in, guys. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say to Tom, if you had a chance to read the article, I noticed the other guys are still on mute. Unmute if you want to say anything. But until then, yeah. So Roy is in the great state of our topic of conversation. Tom, did you get a chance to read the article? Have any comments on that?
I just skimmed over just now. You just sent me the link. I had no idea what the topic was before jumping in. Yeah, that's in San Diego, really? That's surprising.
I know, right?
But my thoughts are right off the bat. This guy might be a theonomist, but even then, I don't think that is like, what other groups are there out there that we could identify as hating gay people aside from the religious fanatics?
Victorian Englishmen.
They
Is there a group of atheists out there that think gay people slow down the advancement of evolution?
I don't think there's anybody who suggests that ever. I don't think I've heard you'd have to be a crazy, insane human being to start going, well, they retard our species' ability to breed and then therefore reproduce.
Yeah, I mean, because the opposite of that, with that, you'd be forcing them to rape people because, I mean, like.
Oh no, but here's
an abstinent gay person is still gay. I guess.
Right.
Does that mean then that if you're really butching gay, you have to have a child? But what if you're really sort of weak, genetically inferior? Do you get forced? I mean, surely that's it. Not whether you're bumming, but whether you're bumming and you've got strong genes. I think would be the argument all of these pretty boy, muscly gay men are ruining our species. They're making us all fat. And no, you'd just be trying to blame the problems caused by very obvious things on other things. And the only reason why you might do that is some business has come along and found a way to tell you a way that you can do that, vote against your own interest.
Well, I've heard some atheists make some completely secular cases for like being anti-gay marriage. I think it was like insurance, or it had something to do with money and greed. But yeah, I think there's certainly some people out there. But Tom, back to the point, I guess, is it safe to say, like where this guy says, he's proposing this bill to shoot gay people in the head with bullets? Is it safe to say that you disagree with that?
Oh yeah, it's very safe.
So then, I guess as a Christian also, how would you answer to the person that's like, well, Tom, you say Jesus is all loving and compassionate. He says love people, and this guy says apparently he believes God wants him to shoot gay people in the head with bullets. So how do you know your interpretation's right and his interpretation is all wrong?
Well, because there's a new covenant that was laid forth in Christ, and the old covenant laws which pertain to Israel do not apply. A lot of them, and not just that one.
And how would you come up with this
interpretation? No savior.
So how would you come up with this interpretation to back up what you said?
Oh boy, give me some time.
Sorry, we had this kind of, I think I had a faux conversation with myself earlier, where I'm like, look, just read the book, it explains it. But I think that well, Vindex, did you have anything to comment or add to?
Well, hi. I was debating with a Christian lately. I thought I'd come and ask this question here. And the answer I got with this gay thing was that they wanted Earth to be as close to heaven as possible. That's why they were against homosexuality, because apparently that's not going to be in heaven. That's the reason. I'm wondering, is that gospel or?
That was really tough to hear.
Oh, sorry.
That guy's mic
I
is
just
shit.
turned off my mic on.
It sounds muffled.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I've been having mic problems.
So were you
Sounds
saying
like
that?
you're on witness protection.
It sounds like Morgan Freeman and Nicole, like, talking in the bathroom.
Were you saying the idea
Hello?
that people that have a
Can you hear
problem?
me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's Sorry about that. I'm having mic problems there. I was saying the reason that I got was that they wanted Earth to be like heaven, or to be as close to heaven as possible. That's why they had a problem with homosexuality, because apparently that's not going to be in heaven. That's the answer I got anyways when I debated it.
There's one passage that I do remember off, well, not quite off the top, but almost the top of my head, which is the Hebrews 8 passage. And I just pulled it up, and it says, when he said a new covenant, he has made the first one obsolete, but whatever is becoming obsolete and growing old is ready to disappear, in reference to the old covenant. And so everything, the whole Mosaic law is bye-bye. Now, a lot of those laws in the Decalogue are repeated in the New Covenant. But still, this whole thing like, oh, all the 613 laws and, there's certain creation ordinances or principles that apply throughout, and maybe even some additional ones that are given in the New Covenant, but those ones are gone. And the theonomist is just wrong. And, this is probably a separate topic on its own, but yeah, so this whole stoning of homosexuals is not anything based in Scripture.
One of the odd things too is that it seems like theonomists tend to focus on that particular sin rather than many others. You don't hear too much of a proposal to start stoning disobedient children. So it does seem odd that they focus on that particular sin.
Selling children, punishing people for wearing blended fabrics, for sowing two different kinds of crop in the same field, and the 1,000,001. And I'm sure back then, a lot of these early laws probably did have some good reasons behind them, like not eating pig when you live in the kind of conditions that they would have lived in would have been a good idea, because it would have probably spread a lot of food poisoning and illness and disease. And they saw a correlation between people who ate pork and people who got sick, and then banned eating pork, and then those that didn't eat pork fared better. That is one of these things. But it's to hold up these laws then now and say, well, even though we understand how to cook pork and how to treat it and sanitary conditions, and we got all of these medicines to keep the pig healthy, we should still not eat pig because it's in the Bible. Which they wouldn't be the same on that.
Yeah, they do definitely pick and choose. But keeping in mind too that some of the laws were meant for even particular groups within the Old Covenant, like the Levite priests, for instance. So not all the laws back then even applied to everybody. I think the mixed fabric might have been one of them, because they were to be, in the rationale, we could say would be so that they are made holy or set apart, not necessarily that we can find out some reason that makes them live more prosperously or something to that effect. Sometimes just like, well, I want you to be different than the other guy, and you're going to do it because I told you to, and I'm God. That's all, So.
Can I ask something? I'm just wondering, do you, Tom, do you think these are like good laws, this stoning homosexuals and stuff? Would you have approved of them if you lived back then?
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, if I could jump in, there's a couple things I got behind that I wanted to mention, but maybe I can wait. But I would say about the stoning homosexuals, like ultimately back then, no, I probably would have not approved. I wouldn't have been an Israelite. These wouldn't have applied to me. I wouldn't have been expected to do them or follow them or stone anyone because I wouldn't have been an Israelite. I would have been a Gentile person just like I am now. But no, I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have approved. But one more thing, it's so much more nuanced out than if you catch two people having gay sex, you stone them. That's just not the way it was. You have to consult the Talmud per Jewish law, right? So they have this whole Sanhedrin who dictate and determine every little law. So when it says, man shall not lie with another man, stone your children for backtucking, stone homosexuals, these are bullet points, and then under each bullet point, there is just pages and pages and pages in the Talmud. Basically, it equates, I'll boil it down quickly, the most accurate, concise understanding I have is you would really, to be put to death under any of these 613 laws, you would really basically have to have a death wish. Like, it requires just some of the things. If some guy just walked up on two people having gay sex. He's like, oh my gosh, the law says stone you. First of all, he'd have to go back, get a witness, bring the witness back. If they're still committing the act, then they have to say, hey, here we are, we see you, you're breaking this law. Stop now. And like give them a cease and desist. So the only way it would, if they stop then and just go their separate ways, nothing else happens. If they're like, hey, F you, we're not stopping, then they have to go back to the council, present their testimony, tell what happened, then they come before the council. So basically there's like all kinds, there's like chance after chance after chance of them to say, you're right, I don't want to die, I'm gonna not do that anymore. And then all's forgiven, all's forgotten. So basically you have to be defiant to the end and really want to be a martyr. I mean, you would really have to be someone that's like, I will die before I stop having gay sex.
Excuse me, but martyrs and Christianity sort of go hand in hand. Remember? All those martyrs who kill themselves, who let themselves be killed, I should say, rather than perform some pagan ritual like lighting incense to the god Jupiter or something. Many Christians refused to light the incense and preferred to choose to martyr themselves rather than do injustice to the name of Jesus by recognizing that there's another God besides Jesus called Jupiter, for which I have to light some incense and everything goes away. I'm 100% fine. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to chop this up into two pieces. I've disappeared. There you go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this up into two pieces. This is part one. Well, I will return with part two in perhaps the next episode, perhaps in a different time period. I don't know. Hey, look, we've got a troll. We've got to get rid of that. Well, it's not a troll, it's a bot. I thank you very much for coming and watching my crazy show. Bill Pazdu, it was lots of fun having you all aboard. I'm going to end it about right now and talk. Let's see. I'm just going to talk until